today's discussion is on factor market. What is this factor market? This factor market means where the marketplace, where the factors of production, uh, namely land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, are brought and sold. In essence, it is where business acquire the resources they need to produce goods and services, unlike the product market, which deals with finished goods and services. The factor market focuses on the inputs required to the production, right? Then there are different inputs, right? Mainly we in economics, we are categorizing those into main four categories: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Based on that, we can identify different types of factor market. So we can identify different components in factor market. Namely, we can say where land is exchanged, that is land market, the capital market, right, and labor market, and the entrepreneurial market, right. This is the factor market, right. Then this same as other factor market, same as other markets, as an example, goods and service market, right. Market means there should be a demand and supply. The factor in the factor market also, there is a demand force as well as a supply force, right. The demand in factor market, this demand we known as there is a derived demand. Derived demand mean this is not the direct demand. That mean this demand is because of the demand for another, right. What is the demand for finished goods? Due to that demand, there is a demand for factors of production, right. Factors of production, that's why we can say that factors of production has a derived demand. As an example, demand for buildings, due to the demand for buildings, there is a demand for materials, building materials. Due to the demand for buildings, there is a demand for masons and other construction engineers. That is the factor market, right. That is the demand for factor market. Then if we consider about the what are the factors demand influence for this demand, mainly we can say productivity of the factor. That means if there is a higher productivity leads to increase the demand, right. Higher productivity factors has higher demand, lower productivity factors has a very lower demand, right. If the lower the productivity is very low, then the manufacturers or producers are not going to buy more on that demand. They are reducing the demand for that type of factor. Same as the main factor is the price of demand. Price means the what is the payment for this factor. As an example, price for labor, that is the wage or the salary. Price for capital is the interest. For the entrepreneur, that is the profit. For the land, that is the rent, right. What is the price? That is another key determinant of this factor of demand, factor of the in the factor of production. Then the price is very important fact. Other thing is the price of the product. What is the product we are going to produce using this particular factor? Price of that factor, that determines another special price for the factor, right. As an example, computer software, right, that has a higher price. Then the programmer and system analyst, their salaries are very high, right. Lower valued products in the market, those factors are very low, right? Definitely, factors are very expensive, then definitely the price of the finished goods supposed to increase, right? Then there is another way to analyze this determinant, the factors of what influences the demand, right? And what are the substitutes available for the factor? For a particular factor, if there are more substitutes, right, then the demand spreads over these substitutes, right? Then the manufacturers or producers, they will move to cheaper factors, right? That is another important factor that influence to the demand of the in the factor market. Two contradictory forces, one is demand, other one is the supply. Supply means the willingness of producers to willingness of individuals or mainly households. Now, mainly we know these households are owners of these factors of production. Willingness of these factor owners to supply this factor, willingness of these factor owners to provide these resources for production process, that is known as the supply for the factor. Then how that determines, right? Wages, laborers are expecting wages, right? Laborers are expecting wages, and land that expects rental, right? Land that expects rental, capital expects interest, entrepreneurs are expecting profit, right? These determines the supply, right? These determines the supply. These are benefits for these factors of production. Normally what is happening, this flow is going to the firms, from households to firms. There is a real flow, there is factors of production, and there is a monetary flow back to households. Those are benefits, right? Wages, rent, interest, and profit, right? Both this demand and supply forces are determine a price in the market. Price means the benefit. As an example, if this diagram shows the demand and supply curves, this shows the diagram of labor, supply and demand. This P is supposed to be wage, right? Now that has determined a particular price for the factor and certain quantity. This is the way that price determination, we have discussed this in normal market, right? Important thing is to understand what is transfer earning and economic rent. Transfer earnings, right? Now the total earnings of particular factor of demand, total earnings of a particular factor of production, the composition of this total earning, that includes transfer earning and economic rent. Transfer earning means the minimum return or the minimum benefit or the minimum payment that the one factor expected to retain in the same productivity, in the same usage, in the current use, right? That is the transfer earning. This is actually related with the opportunity cost. What is the opportunity cost? As an example thing, a person work in a company, in a firm at 50,000, and this person can work in another person, that is the best opportunity, at 45,000 rupees. Then that is the best opportunity forgone when this person choose to work in the current place. Then at least this person required that 45,000 rupees to retain in the current position, right? That is the transfer earnings. That is the transfer earnings. Then that 45,000 is the transfer earnings. Then economic rent is what is the earning that this particular person is earning, or this person mean that if this is a labor, that is a person, what is this factor earning more than the transfer earning, that is economic rent. If we consider the previous example, right, now this person is required, or this factor required 45,000 rupees as the transfer earning. Now the current position, this person is earning 50,000. Then this person has earned extra 5,000 and that to be considered as the economic rent, right? This economic rent and transfer earnings we can show in a diagram like this, right? This particular rectangle that I shown in PEQ, that rectangle displayed in the dotted area, right, that has divided into two sections by the supply curve. What is the area, upper area of the supply curve, that is economic rent, below area is the transfer earnings, right? But what is the composition of total earning? Is it include both economic rent and transfer earnings, or what is the composition of this, or is this included in both, or is this included in only one, transfer earning or economic rent? That depend on the elasticity of supply. Right, we'll consider the simplest elasticity, that is unitary. Unitary elasticity, the supply is unitary. Why? The supply curve starts from the origin. Then this supply curve has divided this rectangle into two sections that is equal to each other. That means in unitary elasticity, economic rent and transfer earnings are equal. Economic rent equal to transfer earnings in unitary elastic. This diagram shows the elastic supply. If the supply is elastic, then the supply curve starts from the price curve that touches the price axis. Now you can see that has divided the rectangle into two, but the transfer earning part is greater. If the supply is elastic, transfer earning is greater than economic rent. If it is inelastic, now this diagram shows the inelastic supply, right? Then economic rent is greater than transfer earnings, right? In these three situations, unitary, elastic and inelastic, we could identify both economic rent and transfer earnings operates in the scenario. That means both the two benefits are there in the total earnings. But in perfect elastic and perfect inelastic, situation is different. Here this is perfectly elastic supply. Then that supply curve is parallel to the quantity axis, horizontal axis. There is no economic rent. Entire earnings, that includes only transfer earnings. Opposite thing happens in the perfect inelastic. There is no transfer earnings, only economic rent is there in perfect inelastic supply context. Right, this is the situation in this scenario. Thank you very much for participation.